Haha, Dan Moskal here, and we are going through an SEO training series here. We're going to talk about some of this natural search engine optimization, free organic traffic. So the first place we want to start is we want to mention, you've probably seen Shark Tank. This past season, season 5, around Christmas time, they had two guys on there, Evan and Nick. And Evan had left a $175,000 paying job, secure job, to pursue an opportunity creating and selling ugly sweaters. These were just Christmas sweaters, so there was a seasonal sale. And between Evan and Nick, it was between 2 years, they did over $1 million. I want to say it was 1.2, but the last year was something $800,000. And their primary source of traffic and way of selling this was using SEO, the natural free traffic, and they were ranked #1 for ugly Christmas sweater. So that term, and also the plural version, ugly Christmas sweaters. Between those two things, they were able to create, I believe it was $862,000 in sales over the course of 1 year, and they ran out of product. Otherwise, they would have sold more, which is unbelievable. So clearly this applies. This is, if you're not familiar with me, I've been working from home online full-time since 2006. I haven't gotten a paycheck from an employer in years and years and years. I've earned an affluent income, all from the comfort of working from home, because this SEO, natural free organic traffic, literally is a gold mine. And if you're not, this is your first time seeing me, I actually appeared on ESPN, National Geographic, MTV, VH1, A&E, a whole bunch of other cable networks, a whole bunch of times in the summer and fall of 2012, where I was promoting another business here for myself as my very own infomercial, but a very cool thing. Very awesome opportunity. And so let's go ahead and get started here. The first thing, and we're going to just go ahead and start from the top, and then we're going to go through a number of things here. But a lot of people are curious, what is this search engine optimization? What is it? And really, quite simply, it's when you get rankings in Google and Yahoo and Bing as well. But it's when you get that just traffic comes to you. It doesn't require you to spend any money in here. Let's just go ahead and look at this ugly sweaters example, and we're going to go ahead and pull this up and use that as an example to start here. If you're here attending live, please give me some feedback if you'd rather me look at some of your specific niche examples, because I am here and I want to kind of really simplify this stuff. It's provided me incredible income since 2006. I've worked with a whole bunch of clients, and I want to share this stuff with you because this stuff is not rocket science. There's been a whole bunch of changes here over the years. Since 2006, the algorithms have changed a whole bunch, and I'm going to share that stuff with you here in just a few minutes. But let's go ahead and get down to it, and let me show you my screen here so we can get a little bit better idea. So we were talking about ugly sweaters, ugly Christmas sweaters, I'm sorry. So let's go ahead and pull this up. This is looking at the Google AdWords Keyword Planner. This is something that you really need to do, but let's go ahead and just pull this up right here. Ugly Christmas sweater. Whoops. Christmas sweater. So this one ranking and the plural version, quote, sweaters, was providing them, like I said, over the course of 2 years, over $1 million. And if you're curious, their website is tipsyelves.com. And we'll go ahead and just pull it up. But that one ranking and that one listing, was able to generate a whole bunch of income from them. And I like to compare SEO and these rankings, this real estate, because this is also looking at Yahoo and Bing. Because Yahoo and Bing, while they aren't as big, the traffic that Yahoo and Bing send you is really good traffic as well. It's not just about Google. Don't forget that. Please don't forget that. So these two rankings, and like I said, I like to compare it to kind of real estate, because it really is real estate. It's just as valuable as owning a home. And I got my start when it comes to pay-per-click advertising. So using the same example, these two listings are paid advertisements, If we were to click on them, it would cost this person, uglychristmasweatherparty.com, it would cost them money per click. Every single time somebody clicks and visits their website with these paid listings, it's called pay-per-click advertising if you're unfamiliar, but it's really direct response advertising. And so these listings, the ones that aren't advertisements, that's all free natural traffic. I've spent, these are all ads too, by the way, Sears. I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars, probably closer to $1 million over the years advertising with this pay-per-click advertisement stuff, and it's the exact same traffic. So if the paid advertising, if you're doing that and it's converting and it's profitable for you, by all means keep doing it, but also use this SEO traffic, because that stuff converts just as well, if not better. It's a lot more traffic. And I like to compare this real estate to the Wild West and kind of the Homesteading Act, because once you get these rankings, these guys right here, Evan and Nick, Tipsy Elves, they were #1 when they were on Shark Tank, and they might still be in #1 under yours. Sometimes when it comes to SEO, these little fluctuations are nothing. It's nothing even to think about. So if you drop a spot or gain a spot, don't pay much attention to it. You got to think big picture and keep moving forward. But I like to compare it to kind of the Homesteading Act, because once you get that ranking, it's really hard to lose it. I mean, it is really hard to lose it. You have to really do some things wrong in order to lose that real estate. So it's very similar to the Homesteading Act in the states here, way back when we were settling in the West. You take care of that piece of property, it's yours. And it's the same way with search engine optimization. So the algorithms, the search algorithms, how does Google decide, my ugly Christmas sweater should be #1 and Tipsy Elf should be #2, and then more importantly, why Esquire should be #9, and why on the third page this other website here, this Facebook listing, should be 30 something instead of on the first page. Well, the search engine algorithms, the algorithm is kind of like their computer geekma stuff. They go in and they're going to look at these websites, and they're going to look at a number of factors, and we're going to discuss a lot of these factors here coming up. But they're going to look at, really, the authority is probably the most important. Which one's the most authoritative? And it's not this website here. But Tipsy Elves is clearly a very authoritative one, and My Ugly Christmas Sweater is also really authoritative, especially compared to those listings on the third page that we were just looking at. So these two websites, and let's just look at this. My Ugly Christmas Sweater says it right there in the top. It also says it in the URL, which, there's debatable information about that using the exact match URLs. If you're not familiar, don't worry about it, because it really is becoming less and less important as of 2014 and moving forward. But the algorithms look at the authority, and they establish your authority, whether it's ugly Christmas sweaters or whatever it is you may be talking about here, you name it. They look at the number of inbound links to your website, what's on your website, and not just the number of inbound links, but it's more about the quality of where those inbound links are coming from. So for example, like tipsyelves.com, they probably have links coming from CNN, well, maybe not CNN, but it might be ABC, seeing as how they were featured on Shark Tank, which is shown on ABC. They probably have a whole lot more links than many of the other websites that they're competing with. You can see they're featured on Today, People, all these places, and some of these places are giving them inbound links. So your inbound links are important. What's actually on your website, the content that is on your website, writing, reading, the graphics, the images, the structure of your website is also very important. And then if you look up here at the very top, you can see it just below the mouse. I'm sorry if you can't see this, but it says their title of their website and the title of their page is Ugly Christmas Sweaters and Accessories. And then it's, I don't even know what you call it, but it's kind of looks like an L. It's just an up and down bar. It's very similar to a hyphen or a ... or a colon. And then it says Tipsy Elves, which is their brand, and that's their way of branding it. There's a few things about branding. I don't really want to mention that too much. And then The other thing that the algorithms really look at is what people actually do once they visit your website. So for example, and this is really one of the newer things that the search engines are shifting towards. We just visited these two websites when we searched for this term, ugly Christmas sweater. So this website, what we do on this website, once we land on it, whether we scroll down, click on a link, or if we click back right away. So for example, we click and visit it. Okay, this isn't what we want, so we're going to click back. That's a really bad indicator. If people are only spending just a half a moment on your website, that's a sign to the search engines that your website doesn't have relevant information to the actual search, ugly Christmas sweaters. Now, the algorithms have changed a ton. I'm sure you've heard of the hummingbird, the panda, the penguin update, zookeeper updates, you name it. But the algorithms have really become very, very, very sophisticated. In years past, this world of SEO is kind of like this black hat geek world where nobody really knew what was going on. All you had to do was build a whole bunch of links. It was much more about the number of links. So, for example, if My Ugly Christmas Sweater had 10,000 links, and Tipsy Elves, only had 1,000 links, then My Ugly Christmas Sweater would be number one, and that would apply to Google, Yahoo, Bing, all of them. But today, like I mentioned before, they're much more looking at the quality of the links. So Tipsy Elves today could have just 3 inbound links, and they could be ranked number 2, whereas the guy at number 10, he might have 1,000 inbound links, but his are all coming from just websites that aren't very great, websites even that are spammy. And one of the more recent algorithm shifts is there's really, I firmly believe this, and there might be some debate about it, but there's negative SEO. So if you literally go out and build a whole ton of links to your website, you might see your website drop like a rock. You might go from number 5 all the way down to number 95 because all those inbound links are coming from kind of spammy websites, less than reputable, less than credible websites. That's really not going to help your website. And if you're not familiar, this was rumored for quite a while, and I'll tell you the backstory here in just a moment, but Google, I know for a fact, and I would be shocked if Yahoo and Bing aren't also using this, they employ, through a third party, but they employ people to go and visit websites. So there's a human being that literally types into Google ugly Christmas sweaters, and that human being goes and visits these websites and then assigns those websites a score, how useful they are, how relevant, how credible. Literally human beings are going and visiting it, and part of that reason is because the internet's been around for a while now. It isn't quite so much the Wild West as it used to be. It's now starting to be settled, and now the search engines are refining their results. You can't scheme or game or pull some fast ones over the search engines. Now human beings are literally going and visiting your website, and these human beings look for specific things on your website. And part of the reason I know this, and I want to share some of these things with you, but part of the reason I know this is because I have a friend who actually worked for one of the companies that was working with Google, and he spent his days, he'd get paid for this, but he'd spent his days going and visiting different websites and giving them scores, assigning them a value on how useful they were. So the search engines, like I said, they're going through and refining their search results. And in the past, if you've been doing SEO for a little while, you're probably well aware of this, but there was a long time where you could do press releases. Article marketing was the hot thing for a number of years. You could submit an article to 100 different websites, and if you submitted it, okay, so if you submitted it to 100 different websites, you get 100 different backlinks. But you could take that same exact article and go and submit it to 1,000 article websites, and then you'd have 1,000 websites. And the way the algorithms used to be, the more websites you submitted that same article to, and the more backlinks you built, the higher you were. You weren't really making the internet any better. If anything, I would make the claim that you were kind of spamming. But this was a very effective way of getting search engine optimization traffic. You know, if you didn't go and submit that article to 100 different websites, you didn't have a chance. You'd be on page, 100. Thankfully, these things have changed. You know, no more is article marketing. Article marketing really will hurt your website these days. Press releases, I think if you do just a little bit, you're probably okay. But there was a time even when directory submissions, and you probably don't even, if you're not familiar with what a directory is, don't even worry about it because it's totally irrelevant these days. But bookmarking sites as well, and the bookmarking sites still kind of apply, but essentially there used to be kind of silver bullets. You could just go and build a whole bunch of links, whether it be from bookmarking sites or article marketing directories, and this was the way a lot of online internet marketers earned an income, was by selling and creating software to submit your article or submit your website to 50 different bookmarking sites. All you would do, and I bought a whole bunch of these because I've been doing it for a long time, but all I would do is sit there and I'd just fill out one CAPTCHA form after another. And it was worth it because my websites would shoot up in the search engines. But that no longer applies, thankfully. Like I said, the algorithms have gotten really sophisticated these days. And you might be familiar, there was a website years back called eZine Articles. And eZine Articles overnight, not sure which search engine update it was, but eZine Articles literally overnight lost massive traffic. I mean, it was millions of dollars they lost overnight because eZine Articles, the whole idea and the only reason I ever submitted articles to eZine Articles was because, one, to get that backlink, and then two, it used to be if you searched for ugly Christmas sweaters in Google, and this is just one example, but eZine Articles used to get tons of traffic from the search engines. Even though this same article, and eZine Articles, I believe, had required you to do an original article, but once it was published, the vast majority of people that were intelligent about it would go and take that article and submit it, or they'd go and spin it and then go submit it to 100 different article websites. So they've lost, I haven't seen eZine Articles show up on any search that I've made in years now, but it was overnight they lost tons of traffic. Their whole business model had to have fallen apart. I'm kind of surprised it's even still around. So let's go ahead and talk about the algorithms today. And let's go ahead and let's get off these ugly Christmas sweaters. Let's look at some of these other websites, and we're going to go ahead and pull up my site here. So sorry, I'm trying to find a good example. We're going to go ahead and say, this is perfect, how to self-publish a book. Now, on-page optimization, that's what we're going to talk about first here. On-page optimization, this is how you go and create a new web page, or you have your website, or you have existing content. There's a few factors that you need to utilize in order to get the most from your work. Because you can't just go and write content and expect the search engines, that whole just go and build it and traffic will come, it still doesn't apply. The search engine algorithms have changed a lot, but you still cannot just go and build it and hope that visitors are just going to find your website and all of a sudden you're going to have, search engine traffic that's just visiting your website. It just doesn't work that way. There's a number of things you have to do. And one of the very first things really is this title. You have to pick a good title, which is kind of obvious, right? Of course, and this is the way I like to compare it to, you have to use a keyword tool. You have to spend a moment doing some keyword research. The best comparison to this is in math class, your teacher says, here, you can use a calculator for the test, and you say, oh no, I'll just estimate it. I'll just guesstimate it. No, that's foolish. That is the most foolish thing you can do, but a lot of people do that. They're like, oh, I'll just pretend or anticipate what people search in the search engines. It doesn't work that way. So let's go ahead and just look at this ugly Christmas sweaters, because this gentleman, Evan, who left, sorry, trying to do too many things. So Evan left a $175,000 paying job because of nothing more than he saw the opportunity doing keyword research. He had done some website work before, but as we can see, ugly Christmas sweaters get searched for 90,000 times per month. Now, the monthly might be a little bit off, seeing as how we're just coming out of December here in January. We're at the end of January where we're initially doing this event, but with some other terms such as, you know, ugly sweaters or something, that might be a little bit different. But let's go ahead and stick with this. Ugly Christmas sweaters, ugly Christmas sweater. Now that one little tweak, that amounts for, whether you do the plural or the singular version, that amounts to just under 70,000, a difference of 70,000 searches. So naturally, you'd be a fool if you titled your page ugly Christmas sweater and not ugly Christmas sweaters. The plural one gets searched for 4 or 5 times as much. Now with that, there's a few different ways you can leverage your content, and we're going to kind of just keep moving forward here. But please don't be a fool. Don't make this mistake of not doing keyword research. And let me just briefly hit on this. Keyword research applies to the title. It also is going to apply to some of the internal links along with some inbound links, just like it has in the past. It also applies to your meta description, and the meta description is these 2 sentences. It's about 156 characters, but it's the 2 sentences that describes your website. And you can see right here, ugly Christmas sweaters, that's in plural. My ugly Christmas sweaters, that's plural. Ugly Christmas sweater, that's singular, but that's also at number 3. The top 2 spots are both plural. And we searched for the singular version. Do you see that? The other thing with on-page stuff is actually structuring your website, and this is the newest thing when it comes to on-page, is the search engines, especially the humans, are looking to see who you are. They want to know who's behind this website, who's written this, who's created it, and what sort of reputation, authority, or credibility do you have, the author or the creator of the website. That is a very important, essential thing. And we're going to look at that in a little bit more here in the future, but some of the other real, you know, I want to get through some of this stuff, but the other things they're going to look at is how often people are clicking on your website. So how often is website number 1 getting clicked on versus website number 4, or even versus website number 2. You want to have a high click-through rate. And this applies to the pay-per-click as well. And the reason this is important is because it really makes a difference what you actually title your page when it comes to your click-through rate. But the higher your click-through rate is the better when it comes to the SEO along with the pay-per-click. But you want to have a good click-through rate, because you don't want, those 90,000 searches. Looking at this example, we'll switch it to plural, but you don't want these 90,000 folks every month to be not clicking on the first and second website and scrolling all the way down until the 5th website until they find one that's actually meeting what they're looking for. And then clicking on, if the 5th website's getting clicked 4 times as often as number 1 and number 2, it's just a matter of time before the 5th website moves up to number 1 or number 2. The search engines are smart. They're also going to look at how long the average visit length is. So how long on average are people clicking on your website and then staying on your website before they close out or hit back or whatever. How long are they actually spending on your website? Your bounce rate, also freshness, how often you're adding new content, how often you're updating new content, the usefulness like we mentioned. And now let's hit the off-page. So off-page SEO is primarily looking at other websites that link into your website. Like we said, low quality sites is going to result in negative SEO, and this is where social media plays a factor. You know, your Google Plus, your Facebook, you can see some of this stuff, Pinterest, Twitter. This is really where the social media stuff plays in. And here's a real, just on a side note, having some inbound links from YouTube, from my personal opinion, I think that's a requirement of many of these more competitive niche search terms to get ranked for. So it is very important that you create some YouTube videos and include an inbound link from your video description back over to your website, along with individual and specific pages on your website. So for example, this, you know, how to self-publish a book, the 12 steps, it'd be really smart for us to create a video walking people through the process of self-publishing a book and then including a link to this specific URL. You know, and we mentioned that here on the on page, that it's important to have at least some reference to the target keyword term within your URL. YouTube links are some very good quality links to build. So let me go ahead and get on to the next one here, and we're going to mention local SEO. Local SEO, if you're selling a service, product, or business, and local SEO, let's use, I'm here in Columbia, South Carolina, so let's say Columbia, South Carolina, let's say attorney, or maybe attorneys. And this same stuff, let's go ahead and pull this in, because you have to do research even if you're doing local SEO optimization. So let's go ahead and do, what do we do, attorneys? And one way, if you're living in a smaller city, you know, some of these things like New York City or bigger cities, naturally you would be able to find some of this stuff. But if you're doing some local searches and you don't find it, then do a national search like attorneys or attorney and apply the same principle. So for example, if we were doing, you know, Columbia, South Carolina attorney, like if we were working with a law firm, the term attorney singular is clearly searched for 4 to 5 times as often as the plural term, which is the exact opposite of the ugly sweater term that we were just looking at. So the word attorney would be, you know, 5 times better than typing attorneys in for our title. And just as a look, let's see what's showing up. Well, some of these things, you know, I'm not saying anything bad about the Yellow Pages, but Yellow Pages, Better Business Bureau, you know, Super Pages, a lot of this stuff is not providing good results. Local SEO is still wide open, especially for, you know, attorneys here in South Carolina. Here's one guy, Strom Law, who has done, looks like he has a good, really good one, personal injury lawyers. I'm curious what that, let's type in lawyers. We can see personal injury attorney down there, 6,600. Let's do personal injury attorney versus personal injury lawyers. These small little things make a huge difference. I mean, you can see the search results. And keep in mind, this is looking at Google AdWords. If you don't have an AdWords account, I believe they're going to charge you $5. Respectfully, you'd be a fool not to use this stuff. You know, $5 versus spending hours just closing your eyes and throwing darts at a dartboard. You know, take the blindfold off, keep your eyes open. And we can see right here, there's some local searches that are showing up right at the top. Los Angeles personal injury attorney, Chicago personal injury lawyer, Miami. But if you don't see it, or you're in a relatively smaller city such as Columbia, where we have, you know, 150,000 people maybe, personal injury lawyer versus personal injury lawyers, we're talking about 7 times, roughly 7 times the difference. You'd want to go with the singular version because it's searched 7 times as often. You know, and that's what this guy, oh, he's actually done it wrong. Strom Law. I bet he would be higher in these results, even though we're searching for attorneys. I bet he would be higher if he used the singular version, personal injury lawyer, rather than lawyers. You know, this stuff, it is kind of It's little details, but those little details make huge difference, especially if that little detail accounts for 7 times the difference. I promise you, it makes a huge difference. And you know, one of the reasons why I know is because I've been doing this for so long, and I've done it wrong a whole bunch of times. Sometimes that's the only way to figure out how to do it right. So one of the clients I've actually worked with, and let me go ahead and just tell you the story. She spent 8 years with her website, and she didn't have any traffic. I mean, the only people that found her website were people that searched for her name specifically or knew the website address. There was nobody that would search in the search engines and find her without searching her name in the search engines. I've been working with her for probably about 8 weeks now, and she's created 3 new clients. Now, she has a mental health therapy business. A new client in her business has an average lifetime visits of 12 lifetime visits. So a typical client is going to come and see her 12 times. She charges about $60 for a visit, which I think is way too low when it comes to mental health, but $60 per visit with an average lifetime value of 12 visits, that works out to $720 a new customer or new client is worth. She had 3 of them in the short time I've been working with her, which is about 8 weeks, times 3. That's already $2,160 difference in her bottom line. That's what these small little details mean. Now, you might not have a business that's doing $60, a customer might not be worth $720, or maybe they're worth $7,000 to you. But the bottom line and kind of the point is, and let me go ahead and just pass this along as well, she has a really, really, really small website. There's probably 10, maybe 12 pages of content on her website. It's not some big, massive thing. She hasn't added any new content since we've been working together. All I did was take her existing website and do some leveraging to target some of these better search terms, such as, not with her website, but such as targeting the term that gets searched 7 times as often. Don't be a fool. Make sure to use and spend a moment doing this keyword research. And let me go ahead and share this other story with you here. There's a gentleman I worked with for quite a while, but he wasn't selling anything. He didn't have a business. He wasn't even using AdSense. He didn't have a service. The way he was earning money was by doing affiliate marketing. So he was selling other people's business and products for them. This guy's website was low 6 figures. I took what he had done, what was already existing on his website, and this was working part-time. I took that and leveraged it, because you really can, you got to be smart about this stuff. Leveraged it, and I took that website. He didn't spend another minute on it. I took him from a low 6-figure income, and he was earning 7 figures over the course of a year on autopilot. No more time. I think I wrote a few more posts on it because I worked with him for quite a while, but he had a 7-figure business on autopilot. That was just one of 3 websites that I was working on for him and with him. And like I mentioned before, once you get some of these listings, it's just like the Homestead Act. It's going to be very difficult for Yellow Pages to lose this listing, although it's going to be a whole lot easier for Yellow Pages to lose that than the ugly sweater guys, or ugly Christmas sweater guys. Just because Yellow Pages, yeah, some people might look for Yellow Pages, but if there's also a Super Pages, White Pages, Green Pages, Blue Pages, with just nothing more than the phone book type listings when it comes to the local SEO, that's not making the internet that great, especially if one website looks exactly like the next 4 websites that are on that first page. Google wants to provide unique, quality, good information to people. So local SEO is still wide open. I mean, local SEO is kind of like the internet 5, 10 years ago with the national searches. But this gentleman I was working with, he had 100, 200 visitors before I touched his website. He got up to 1,000 visitors every single day with just this one site, 7-figure income, no more time. And there was some time that he could have and should have spent on it, and he would have made a whole lot more. But this stuff lasts. It lasts more than a year. It lasts more than 2 years. It lasts more than 10 years. I still have websites that I've worked on and I really haven't touched for the most part in a long time, maybe a few little tweaks, but they're still earning me money. I'm still getting money from these websites, because once you get these rankings, you really have to do some things wrong, and I mean just foolishly wrong, to lose them. And this gentleman I worked with hired two, I like to call them Peters, because these two Peters, who were alleged experts when it comes to SEO, took his 7-figure earning website and it doesn't exist anymore. This was within the credit repair niche, which is uber, uber, uber competitive. And I mean uber competitive. And he wasn't selling anything. It wasn't anything he was doing, but credit repair gets searched 33,000 times every month. And we weren't even targeting that term, just on a side note. So anyways, it's important, and you got to be smart about who you listen to when it comes to getting advice from anybody, and especially when it comes to SEO or marketing. I was doing some research. I just published a book, Video Marketing for Entrepreneurs. I was doing some research, and I found one individual who was offering marketing advice on their YouTube channel, but they also had YouTube videos going through the process of how to make deodorant from home. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but respectfully, you shouldn't take your marketing advice from somebody that's telling other people and showing other people how to make deodorant from home, at least on the same channel. Be smart, be intelligent, work smart, and work intelligent. And one of the things I want to offer you is what I'm going to do here is really just show you everything I do from A to Z, top to bottom. I'm going to do it over a series of videos, some live events, and part of that is so I can provide you with one-on-one help to show you exactly how I leverage this stuff, how I go about doing keyword research, because it's not just about writing a website, or writing a page that says credit repair. That has very little to do with it. It might help a little bit, but I like to compare it to, running the 100-meter dash. If you just go and, write a page about credit repair and don't use these other leverage tactics to get yourself more traffic, it's like running the 100-meter dash with one leg, or the 100-meter hurdles with one leg. You got to be smart about it, and there's a few ways to leverage really your money pages, and those money pages are the really high converting terms. And if we hadn't leveraged these money pages for this gentleman with the 7-figure income, he wouldn't have ever gotten close. He might have been able to increase those 6 figures and go from 100, 200 to maybe 300 or 400 visitors, but he certainly wouldn't have gotten anywhere close to 1,000 visitors every day. So that's really kind of looking at like the content marketing. Because be smart. We're also going to go over the off-page SEO. So we're going to do these over a series of a few different training events, but the first one is going to be the SEO basic, kind of the fundamentals. We're going to go through the keyword research and how to really leverage your work in order to make sure you're using both your legs when you're running that 100-meter hurdle dash, and make sure that your competition doesn't leave you in the back and leave you behind them. And then we're going to look at off-page SEO, which is one of the things that has changed the most, how and where you can build quality traffic generating links. So no lie, some traffic, and especially with this website, a newer website, some of the traffic links that I have, some of the links rather, build traffic, send traffic to me. Sorry, I'm trying to see you guys. Whoops. Sorry about that. You can build good inbound links that send your website traffic. And just on a real quick side, I'll save that for some other time, but with Dan Moskowitz University, there's a couple things I went and did last night on a new post, and before the end of the night, there was tons of traffic that came from not the search engines, but through these inbound links that I built last night. Good inbound links will create and send traffic to your website. We're living in a global economy, so it's not just, there's a lot of ways people find websites outside of the big three search engines. You know, don't, make sure to use all the tools and all the things that are available to you. So that's going to be the second session. We're going to also discuss how to avoid negative SEO and the 7 Peter principles, which are the only ways to lose traffic. And then in the third session, we're going to cover some video SEO. So one video account that I created here just this past year in April, this, I think it's maybe 10 hours of video. It's creating, it's just about $40 a month. I haven't done any videos on it in quite a while, but it's $40 every single month since April. That comes out to, you know, $300 or $400 just in the past like 6 months, and that's not using any inbound links. All that's doing is using good keyword research and the on-page factors. That's a couple extra $100. How much would a couple extra $100 mean to you, you know, over the next 6 months? But that stuff's going to last for potentially ever. Bottom line, period. So the third session is video SEO. In the fourth session, we're going to talk about some social media. We're going to talk about what you can and cannot outsource, because a lot of this stuff, if you're smart about it and you learn the basics and the fundamentals, you can outsource and get some help with it. We're also going to discuss the human reviewers, because these human reviewers are looking for specific things on each and every website. If you don't have these things, your usefulness and the authority, credibility on your website is going to go down, which means your competition, if they're doing these things, they're going to be above you in the search engines. There's a couple things, you know, it's a handful of things, and I didn't think that it made that much difference, but once, you know, a friend of mine passed along one of these training manuals, and I went into 2 or 3 of my websites, made just a couple small 30-second changes, and I've gotten more traffic from doing these changes. It's what Google especially is looking for. It'd be foolish not to learn this stuff. And we're also going to mention kind of some direct response principles, because these direct response principles, like I mentioned, I'm sorry you can't see that, but like I mentioned, having a different keyword and making sure that you match that keyword on the title, and then using some other little tweaks when it comes to your meta description, and then another little tweak when it comes to your URL especially, can really get you not just that targeted big search term. I can't remember if it was the plural version, but of ugly Christmas sweaters. It'll get you that one, and then it'll also show the search engines that you have related, pertinent information when it comes to the singular version, and even ugly sweaters or Christmas sweaters, related search terms, because there's a lot of variation and related terms within every single niche industry. So at a minimum, it's going to be 5 live sessions, and one of the real big benefits to this is you can ask Q&A. You know, I'm so beyond determined to help you and to get you that traffic, because like I said, it is money. It is a gold mine. This is how I've earned the vast majority of my income since 2006 is from SEO organic search traffic. So let me go ahead and just tell you who this isn't for. This is not for somebody that thinks that they can only think positively and money's just going to appear, or you know, you can just really dream about having a Lamborghini and a Lamborghini is going to pull up in your driveway. This is not for you. It is also not for the individual who has 4 pages on their website and isn't willing to do anything more, but really wants to. So for example, someone that wants to rank for the term credit repair, but they only have 4 pages on their website. That ain't ever going to happen, period. So if that's where you are, I'm sorry, but this isn't for you. You're going to have to build out your website a little bit more. This is for you if you're sick of not getting results from your time, work, and effort. You're spending resources when you're targeting SEO traffic. You have to have measurable results. And one of these ways to measure it is your income. If you're not getting the results you want from your SEO work, this is for you. Like I said, you don't want to run the 100-meter hurdles with one leg. And so this is what I'm going to do. If you want to attend these 5 live training sessions, and it's at a minimum of 5, and we're also going to send you transcripts with it and send you the full DVD playouts, so you can put them in, take them home, watch them over and over. Right now, this time and for the next 48 hours, so Thursday at 8 p.m., I'm taking it down, it's $197. I don't work with clients for less. If you want to work with me for one day as a client for me to do SEO with you, if you really want to split hairs, it's $997. And even then, I still don't take on many clients at all. So you really can't work with me for even one day for less than $10,000. But if you want this, and you want this, this is really going to be one-on-one help. I want your feedback. I want you to help me create this so I can help show you. Because I promise you, this might sound self-serving, but I promise you, my profit motive is much more about you earning more money than it is about, because if you're earning more money, then I'm doing my job. We can work more together. And I guarantee you my profit motive is much more vested in you earning more money. And there's a lot of guys offering SEO advice out there, but there's very few of them that have gone through the pay-per-click, applied those same things. There's very few of them that actually have paid the expenses of pay-per-click advertising. There's very few of them that have outsourced. I've outsourced a whole bunch of my SEO work and done it intelligently for the most part. I've made some mistakes along the way. Additionally, if you're brand new to SEO, this is for you. $197. Like I said, that one YouTube thing alone would be worth it. That's provided me with a couple $100 just this past year, and it's less than 10 hours of recorded material. And if you are really curious about that, I'll even share and show you exactly what that is and show you the earnings from it. Because even if it's a brand new website or a brand new YouTube channel, whatever, you can earn money. It's not going to happen overnight, but it will happen very quickly. And as one of my good faith efforts, I want to give you this $197, but I'm not just going to give you 30 days. I'm going to give you a full 365 days, 1 year, full money back, no questions asked. If you aren't earning more money from what I tell you and my strategies, I don't want your money, period. I know this stuff works. And if you don't earn more money from it, no hard feelings, no problem. I'm happy to write you a check, give you your money back. So it's a full year. There's no risk. This stuff has worked. It continues to work. SEO has changed, but a lot of these changes are smaller tweaks. These changes, these algorithm updates put the whole SEO world up in arms. It's the end of the world. Things are never going to be the same, but that's not really the case. The linking is still very important, backlinking, inbound linking, and then leveraging your on-page stuff. I for the most part, I've used the exact same strategies for the most part, minus, the silver bullet. I've used the exact same strategies since 2006, and I still use them, and they're still working. And one of the cool things about this SEO, search engine traffic, is it's a feeder system. If you have hundreds of website visitors every single day or every single week, you're creating new clients, new customers, new affiliate marketing sales, new AdSense revenue. You are feeding into yourself, and you don't have to be at work. I went to a college basketball game this past weekend, Saturday afternoon. I'm out at the college basketball game hanging out with my dad, and I'm earning money using search engine optimization. That's what this stuff can do for you. So It really doesn't matter all that much to me if you do this or not. I can promise you, if you want to get this here in the future, it'll never be this price again, because this stuff is so valuable, and I feel like I'm giving it away here at 197 bucks because, like I said, that one video account has created hundreds of dollars of additional revenue for me, and that's 10 hours of, it's a little bit more than 10 hours of work, but it's not that much more. What's 20 hours of work for a few extra $100 this year just from videos? And that's not talking about how it's also helped my other home website for that channel, or how it's created additional leads, or how I've also earned some affiliate marketing revenue from it. So if 197 bucks is too much for you, you can come and get this in the future, but it won't be this price. I don't work with a client for less than, if you want to split hairs, $997 for one day, and that's if you travel to me. If I travel to you, it's going to even be more. And this gentleman that lost that 7-figure business, he's approached me and contacted me a number of times wanting me to work with him again, and I won't do it because it is much more about me helping you create income and you keeping that income. That guy hired 2 Peters. These guys were SEO experts, and now he doesn't have that income. 7 figures. So, I'm not promising that you'll have 7 figures, and I'm certainly not promising that, overnight. But whether you have a local business, you're doing SEO for other people, you're just starting a website, whatever, this is really pretty much no-brainer. There's 365 days, full refund, no questions asked, no problem. But I know this works. This is the exact things I use day in and day out since 2006, and I'm going to continue to do tomorrow and the day after that and the day after that and the day after that, which is one of the big reasons why, if you don't want this or whatever, no problem. I'm not going to be losing sleep over about it, no offense. So anyways, thanks for attending. I hope you enjoyed this stuff. I hope you were taking some notes, because a lot of this stuff is really some things that I haven't seen or heard from any of the other SEO people, and I've spent and continue to spend tons of time continuing to learn and keep up with this stuff. I've spent a huge amount of money investing even in my own education when it comes to this, and especially when I first started learning way back in 2006, and some of this stuff just isn't right. And maybe, I can't imagine, if you've been doing this for any amount of time, I'm sure you've spent way more than 200 bucks already on your education with less than best results. So this is Dan Moskal. I've got 5 books over at Amazon. I've been this stuff is great. This is one of the cool things that technology gives you and me today, a way for us to earn money while we're at the basketball game, while we're in New York City at Madison Square Garden, while we're out in Las Vegas watching Tiesto perform live, staying at the Wynn. I've been all over the country doing this stuff, working from home, online. It is a great lifestyle, and I want you to have it. I really do. This stuff is not rocket science. So if you want to take advantage of this, it's at a minimum 5 live, at least hour long. It's really probably going to be a whole lot longer than that. We're going to also send you the transcripts. Those are going to be real DVDs. I'm going to give you, obviously immediate access online with me. So we're going to do this stuff. You're going to also have the opportunity to ask me questions. We're going to talk about the video SEO. We're going to talk about SEO on your website, how you can leverage that stuff. We're going to talk about how and where you should build inbound links that not only help your SEO, your search engine rankings, but also drive traffic to your website immediately, so you can make more money from what you've done. Otherwise, you're going to be running the 100-meter hurdles with one leg. You're going to really be left behind, especially coming 2014 and moving forward. Like I said, a lot of these search engines are refining their results. And I'm also going to give you an inside peek. Really, I'm going to have to figure this one out moving forward. I have that training manual from the human reviewers, and I'm not sure if I can just give it to you and tell you not to let anybody know, or else I'm going to have to disseminate it. But either way, I'm going to show you exactly what those things what they require now, because they're really small, easy things, and I've gotten benefit with my sites already. So you have 48 hours. Take advantage of it, and don't be like that other guy on Shark Tank with the plate topper. Decisiveness is a requirement of being successful. The guy, plate topper guy coming Shark Tank, he couldn't make a decision, and he lost $1 million. So decisiveness is important. This is Dan Moskal. Looking forward to talking to you again soon, and hopefully helping put some money in your pocket. Have a great day and night, and we'll talk soon.